Hello everybody, it's Lindsay from Fresh Out Tuition. Today I wanted to talk to you about fractions. Fractions is something that is taught in primary school and unfortunately is something that a lot of people get wrong, not just in primary school but all the way through their secondary years, and it is something that many people still struggle to accomplish correctly when they go to take their GCSEs. When I have somebody come to me and say, I need help preparing for my GCSEs, we will almost always cover fractions as one of our topics. And what I find is that I need to do that near the start because fractions leads into several other things. We use fractions when we do algebra, and we use fractions when we're looking at graphs and looking at how that equation is rearranged to find the right part of the graph bit that we need. And there's so many things that use fractions in math, and we also use it when we're rearranging equations in physics and biology and chemistry, and it's something that is very much integral in our life. So fractions need to be taught well, and very often it needs to be more of a hands-on activity. So I have a set of fraction circles. So I've got them stuck to each side of a baking sheet. This is just brand new baking sheet that I bought, and on this side I've got a half, a quarter and an eighth making up a whole, and then I've got tenths, fifths, thirds, twelfths, sixths and a whole. Okay, so these are magnetic. This particular set I think is about £11 on Amazon. It changes a little bit all the time, so they're quite handy. They come in a little stacking set. I actually have two sets. So that means that if I'm doing improper fractions or mixed numbers with people, I have an extra one of these for 1 and something, or we can stack them up to make top heavy for improper fractions. So the idea is that everything must always make a complete circle, no matter how many pieces are in it. And this is a great way of getting students to recognize what they are doing. So I'm just going to tilt that down a little bit so that you can see a bit more of that. Okay, so if I have a half, just pop that down there, I can say, by turning this around and finding how many pieces fit, that a half is the same as 2 quarters because it fills the gap left by the other, pink that I've missed. Sorry, mirror imaging is a little bit strange. Fills this gap quite nicely. It exactly matches and it gives me a complete circle. And I can then say that 1/2 plus the 2 quarters equals 1 whole. And if you want to check, you can take a whole and put it over the top to make sure that it fits. Okay, I could then do the same with my eighths. So just turn those around and pop it on and show that a half is the same as 4/8. They're just not quite sitting in the right place. Okay, so you have another equivalency there. And then you can get a little bit more creative. So I can take my half and my eighths and I can pop in a quarter like this, and I can say that a half is the same as 2/8 plus a quarter, or that 2/8 is equal to a quarter. And I can also take this over here and show something like this, that 6/8 plus a quarter is the same as 1 whole, so 1 quarter must be 2/8. So that is where you have all equivalencies. However, what I can do is take something else, let's say like a third, and see if it fits. So my third can't fit into that space. I can take another 8 away, and I can put that in. And what you should see is that it almost closes, almost closes, but not quite. Okay, so I know that that can't make an equivalency fraction with thirds or eighths on the bottom because they don't tally up. Another way of doing that is to put the 8ths over the top, and what you should find is that they are either slightly smaller than or slightly bigger than the third, depending on how many you use. So if you have students who are really struggling with visualizing fractions, these are brilliant. And if you're working with your young person at home, you can make a set of these. If you're pretty savvy on the computer, you can draw circles in something like Paint, and then you put the lines in to show however many pieces you want. So my fraction set goes all the way up to 12ths, which is really handy. So I can take a 6th out pretty quickly and pop 12ths in. All my 12ths are stuck together because this is my new set. I may have lost some of the first set. Not sure where I put them. Okay, so something like that. But you can make a set of these on the computer. You could make a set by hand. So all you need is a circle size. Draw around it for however many different sets you want, and then split each circle into the right number of fractions. These could be done on multicolored paper so that each fraction size is a different colour, just like the sets here. I've got a nice range of colours that you can really clearly tell the difference between, and that can allow you to just be a little bit more creative. You can sit down and work it out. Now, we very regularly have to add and subtract fractions. And the important thing for adding and subtracting is that you have to be able to make an equivalent fraction. So we can't say 1/3 plus, let's see, 1/6. I move everything else out of the way. Okay, so 1/3 plus a 6th, that doesn't work because you don't have the same part of the fraction on the bottom. What you have to do is make an equivalency. And we do that by showing that 1/3 is the same as 2/6. So you can put it over the top to make sure it fits. And our new sum becomes 1/6 plus 2/6. If we put that together, we get 3/6. Okay, so that can be done for all different sorts of fractions, and you can make it more complex by adding more fractions with different denominators. So I can add a 6th and a 3rd, but I can also add, let's see, let's do 4/12. Okay, so I have my 6 over here. We know that 2/12 equals a 6th. So what I can say is that actually that 4/12 is the same as 2/6. So now I have 2/6 and 2/6. We know that this 3rd is the same as 2/6. So this middle line, okay, and you can do it for adding fractions, multiple sets of fractions. It's a really hands-on visual way of doing it. You can find lots of fraction resources online, and if you're stuck with that, send me a message and I can email you some that I have. And then what you can do is, once you have made yourself your own set of fractions, you can then use the fraction discs to complete the questions on the worksheet. So this makes it a lot more visual for people to manage, and is often a very successful way of doing things, because you can keep adjusting and rearranging fractions until you figure out the right equivalent one, and then you can count the sections to be able to add it up. So it's really clear when you've got it right, and it's really clear when you've got it wrong. You can also do this with subtracting fractions. I need my tenths, let's see. So let's say I'm doing 4/5 take away 4/10. Okay, so, oh, wrong way. My 5ths are green, my 10ths are purple. So I know that 2/10 fit in there, that therefore they make a 5th. So 4/5 take away 2/10. What I actually have to do is take away 2/5, and that leaves me with 2/5. And what I should, if I've got it right, should be able to do, I'm not very good at rearranging this board backwards. What I should be able to do is take this and put it back in that place, and it should make the same size as it did originally. If it does, you've got your answer correct, and if it doesn't, you haven't. So fraction discs are really cool. This set is from Learning Resources, it's called. I think they're Learning Resources fraction discs or magnetic fraction discs. The magnets are really handy but not necessary, and you can make your own. And that's just a different way of doing it. A lot of young people find that actually just figuring it out and working around it can make a lot more sense. You might be surprised that it's not just very young children who like to do this, but older children as well, because touching something, moving something with your hands and doing it visually makes a lot more sense in their brains, because they are giving input from several different senses at once. So you're seeing it, you're hearing somebody discussing it, but you're also watching it happen and seeing things fit together and actually doing it with your hands, which can make a massive difference. So give it a try. Fraction circles like this are great, but you can also get, oh, should have had this out. You can also get fraction towers like this, and these are great for the same sort of thing, adding them up. So my tower stuck in the box. So my tower can be stacked up like this. You pick whichever ones you want in it. It comes with more than fits on the tower at the same time, so you do have to make a decision about which ones you're using. So if I've got, there's 6 3/3 and a whole, then I might also put 12ths on there, but I might choose not to use 8ths because they don't have an equivalency. Okay, so they should all reach the same height when they're full, and you can use these to add fractions together. This particular set is also from Learning Resources and comes with a set of cards. So you can look at fraction recognition, you can add the different ones up. The colours do match the actual cubes, so that's really handy. And each card has something on both sides for you to try out, really simply explained activities for you to try. And again, it's another way of being really visual with it. So you might want to give that a go. So I've got 6 here, and then there's 12ths. So what I can show is that I can put 2 12ths on the top, and that is the same size. It takes up the same amount of space as 1/6. Therefore, 2 12ths is equal to 1/6. Okay, so that can make fractions a little bit more fun. Some people do it with cake. If you have cake circles, if you happen to be cutting something already, then that can work really well. But if you want something to do that doesn't involve eating lots of cake, you could give either of those a try. So if you want some fractions work to try, send me an email and I can send you some sheets for adding and subtracting fractions or working out equivalencies, and you can then use a set like this or a set of fraction circles that you have made to try it. So there you go. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to hearing what you get up to. Thanks. Bye.